What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Espresso, and welcome to today's video. Now, today we're going to be talking briefly about Call of Duty Ghosts. Now, I know I said I wanted to take the focus away from Call of Duty Ghosts a little bit, but this is one of those things that was really big and I didn't cover. So this came out with the last patch notes updates, but today we're going to be talking about gun nerfs and buffs. So the most recent patch to Ghost fixed a lot of stuff, and I know I didn't cover it a lot in detail like I normally did, but today we're going to be going over the brief summary of what the main fixes were. Now, there were some smaller things like esports and all that, but we're going to be focusing on the big picture here. So let's get right into the patch notes here. So the Bison, you guys all know this thing was an absolute beast for the short time that it was buffed. It was an absolute monster, and I had a ton of great gameplays from it. It was just a total ripper when you went up against it, and it was so powerful that it needed to be banned in competitive play even. So surely it needed a nerf, right? Well, it got it. The Bison now is almost the Bison before, but it's still a little more powerful, and I think it's at the point where Infinity Ward initially wanted it to be with the first buff, but it's all a trial and error system, so that's why it's a little late getting there. But as for the actual stats, the headshot multiplier was dropped a little, but the little bit matters. It was a 1.5 multiplier, and now it is a 1.3 times multiplier. So that itself no longer makes it a two-shot kill. Now, for those of you guys looking at the numbers of the damage for this weapon and wondering how could it be a two-shot kill, it's the scenario of a one-shot to the body and a one-shot to the head, and with the kick of this weapon, and it actually happened a lot more than you'd think, and made for a lot of bogus deaths at times. And speaking of kick, there was a kick increase to this weapon as well, only slightly, nothing really noticeable. If you knew how to control the recoil of the gun before, it won't be much of a problem now. Now, as for the range, that was decreased as well, just under 20%, and I think the accurate percentage was 16.8, but don't quote me with that or hold me to it. That makes it a huge reduction in power overall, because the Bison with the last patch allowed for a huge range, and getting those kills at range beat out some unsteady shots if you were using an assault rifle or MTARs if you knew how to use the Bison. Now, the last thing that got buffed with the Bison was the time it takes to sprint out of an ADS. It's nothing that you'd normally hear about, but when evading gunfights, it's not a bad thing to want. It got about 50 thousandths of a second shaved off the time, so it's nothing major or anything you'd notice, but hey, at least it's a positive change. Now, overall, looking back at the Bison, is it still a viable weapon? Yes, it is. It's still great for close quarters, maybe not so much at range anymore. You need a muzzle brake to get where the range was before this patch, but it still is a great weapon. Now, we're going to move over onto the Vepr. There's not much to say with this one because there was only one thing that was buffed. The ADS speed is now the same as the other SMGs. This was a weird gun because it was the only one that didn't have an ADS speed of 0.2 seconds. It was at a 0.25. Now it's the same speed as all the other SMGs. It got brought down to a 0.2 seconds. With that being said, though, that is a noticeable difference, and with the rate of fire of this gun, it is a viable option for a weapon now. So there is a part of me that actually does want to give this weapon a try now. That was the one turnoff for me because I could feel a difference when I went to ADS with this gun, but now that it's the same as all the other SMGs, I think it's a viable option for a gun class. But moving on to our last weapon that we're going to be talking about today is the CBJ. This one I absolutely don't understand. Based off the name, you'd probably think this is getting a buff, right? Well, if you thought that, you're wrong because it's getting nerfed. Yes, an actual nerf to the CBJ. That just doesn't make any sense in my mind, but as if this thing wasn't weak enough already, it's getting even weaker. This gun wasn't the strongest, probably one of the outcasts of the SMGs, and now it's even further in the hole. It's one of those bad bully stories or something, but the CBJ got a range reduction just over 12%. Again, don't quote me on the specific number, but I do believe it was right around 11.6%. And for those that don't know, the CBJ had an awful range to begin with, so I was considering giving it a chance a couple times, but now I don't even think it'd be worth the time to go and create a class for it. So to anyone who enjoys the gun challenges or weak weapons, I do apologize for this one because it just got even worse. So we've talked about guns, yes, but before we wrap up today's video, I want to mention two things that absolutely excite me in terms of patches, which honestly, I shouldn't be feeling like a kid on Christmas when reading patch notes, but this is something that I feel excited for just because of how long overdue it is. Those two things being nerfed are the IEDs and squad mates. Now, the IEDs were patched a few months ago to allow players to dodge them, but only in relative positions. That means if it was above you, you'd have to crouch. If it was on the ground, you'd have to jump. Scenarios like that. But with this newest patch, as long as you take measures to dodge it, like jumping, crouching, going prone, stuff like that, you'll be able to survive the IED blast. That's absolutely amazing. Finally, we're getting to see some leeway from people who absolutely hated them like me, I'll actually be able to use my reaction time to help my gameplay for once in Ghosts. Now, if only they could nerf the IMSs in the same way, that's up next on my agenda and what would be absolutely beautiful to see in the next patch notes. Now, the actual last thing we're going to be talking about here in this video today, the squad mate got a huge nerf as well. I'm sure you all have run into at least one player with squad mates, or if you're unlucky like me, entire lobbies running them. So you'll know how bogus it is when you're up against them. With the built-in vest and added health, the squad mate has about 3 times the health of a normal soldier, and that's the equivalent of a clip and a half of most weapons around a riot shield. And to add on to that, the squad mate only needed 2 shots from his pistol to kill you, so that seemed totally fair, right? Well, finally the algorithm for the squad mate has been adjusted. The accuracy of the squad mate is now reduced, as well as the fire rate. So chances are you can evade squad mates now and live to fight another day. So to recap before we end the video, the Bison is now finally the gun it should have been after the first patch. It's finally fair on all aspects, not weak and not OP. The Vepr is now a viable option for a weapon due to the ADS buff. The CBJ is a marshmallow slingshot with its range reduction. The IEDs should not be as big a problem now, and squad mates are no longer OP. So that's in my time, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below about all this stuff. Do you guys like one gun over another now? Anything that you have to say is always welcome. If you did like the video, please leave a like rating down below. Any shares to your Facebook, Twitter, and or MySpace if you're OG like that, always greatly appreciated. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe for the best of Call of Duty content. I have a ton of stuff still coming to you guys, especially all the information and news coming out regarding Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. So if that interests you in the least bit, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below to stay connected for all of your Call of Duty news, Ghosts, Advanced Warfare, all that stuff. Thank you guys once again so much for watching. My name is Nicola Espresso. As always, I hope you guys are having a great day. I shall see you guys tomorrow. Take care and peace.